Okay, I think we'll start. It's 5, and I believe we're on page 38 in Swami Subodhananda, and we just read the section where Koka Maharaj was sent up to wake up Swamiji because everyone else was afraid to do it. And he slammed the book closed that Swamiji had been reading, and Swamiji got mad, and he said, "How will you know where it is?" And he opened it right away, and he said, "Okay." So we will start on second paragraph on page 38 if you're following along. Subodhananda was very fond of traveling. Between his stays at Bellarmont in 1899, he visited Almora, Mayavati, and again Kedarnath and Badrinath. The next year, he went to Navadip, the birthplace of Chaitanya, Darjeeling, Kamakya in Assam. In 1902, he revisited Mayavati and was there when Swamiji passed away. In 1905, he went to Almora again to recover from Kala Azar. It's a really serious infectious disease. As a trustee of the Ramakrishna order, he shouldered the responsibility for philanthropic activities with his brother disciples. During the plague epidemic in Kolkata in 1899, he worked hard to relieve the suffering of the helpless, panic-stricken people. He had a very tender heart and sometimes begged for money from others to help poor patients with food and medicine. One family near Bellar Monastery was saved from starvation by the Swami's kindness. Whenever he heard that anyone was sick or needed help, he would immediately go to his or her aid. In 1908, there was a great famine in the Chilka region of Orissa. Subodhananda threw himself heart and soul into the relief work. He collected and distributed rice, lentils, and clothes among the famine-stricken people. He worked day and night without caring for his own food or rest, and became sick as a result. Sri Ramakrishna appeared before him and said, "You will not have to do this work anymore." However, Subodhananda continued the relief work until the condition of the people improved. Subodhananda was extremely devoted to Holy Mother. He visited Jairambati in 1891 with Girish Ghosh and Swami Niranjanananda. In 1911, when Holy Mother visited Bellarmont after her pilgrimage to South India, Brahmananda arranged a grand reception for her. The shrine was decorated, and monks and devotees stood in line as Holy Mother walked slowly onto the monastery grounds. Brahmananda announced that no one should break the line and rush to take the dust of her feet. Suddenly, however, someone came from behind the line, took the dust of Mother's feet, and disappeared into the crowd. Amused, Brahmananda cried out, "Who is he? Catch him." Everyone laughed, seeing Subodhananda's childlike nature. Once Subodhananda was going to Kolkata from Bellarmont by steamer. On the way, a few young men from Bali started criticizing Vivekananda. Subodhananda boldly told them, "Do you give any donation to Bellarmont? If so, please stop it from today. What will you gain by criticizing Swamiji? Neither will your criticism make Swamiji's hands fall off, nor will your praise help him grow 2 more hands." When he heard that those young boys did not help Bellarmont, the Swami said, "Then why do you criticize unnecessarily? Can you appreciate monks? You work like slaves under English officers, and you are supposed to flatter them. If you make any mistake, they will kick you out with their boots." A few days later, one of those young men came to Bellarmont and apologized to Subodhananda. "Maharaj, the other day, out of sheer ignorance, we did wrong. Your words came true. One of us was kicked out of the office by an English officer. Subodhananda's love and respect for Swamiji was phenomenal. Once in Varanasi, Swami Raghavananda asked him, "Maharaj, who is greater, Trailangya Swami or Swamiji?" Subodhananda replied, "Trailangya Swami is the greatest among men, but Swamiji is Shiva himself." If anybody criticized Swamiji before the master, he would say, "Here the Lord Shiva has been criticized. Please sprinkle a little Ganga water." Subodhananda, now as guru in his trips to East Bengal, which is now Bangladesh, Subodhananda's unassuming nature and plain clothing hid the fact that he was a great soul and a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. But his renunciation and simple, joyful face attracted devotees. In the monastery, he wore an ochre cloth, a t-shirt, and a pair of slippers. He washed his own clothes and ate with the other on the floor of the dining room. Subodhananda was reluctant to give spiritual instructions to devotees. If anybody approached him for initiation, he would say, "What do I know about initiation? I am a Koka. You go to Swami Brahmananda or Holy Mother. They are highly spiritual." Once Holy Mother said, "Why does Koka not initiate people? As long as the Master's disciples are alive, let the people receive their grace." He also received a command from the Master to instruct people. In 1915, Subodhananda began to initiate devotees. Now remember, Koka means little boy. Once in later years, some devotees from East Bengal came to Swami Shivananda, then the president of the Ramakrishna order, and invited him to Dhaka. The Swami was not well, so he asked Subodhananda to go instead. Subodhananda replied, "Oh no, I can't go there. There are many big rivers in East Bengal, and I am afraid to cross them." Knowing his nature, Shivananda did not press him any further at the time. However, on 7 May 1924, Subodhananda went to dedicate the Ramakrishna temple at Shonaragon, Dhaka, at the behest of Shivananda. "People of East Bengal," said Shivananda, "are greatly devoted to Sri Ramakrishna. Please initiate them." Subodhananda obeyed and initiated many people, even children. After returning to Bellarmine, he informed Shivananda that he had initiated one and all, including children. Shivananda asked, "How will the children practice meditation and japa?" He replied, "You ordered me to initiate everybody, so I deprived none." Subodhananda was extremely self-effacing and did not consider himself to be a guru. Once a woman disciple asked him, "Swami, I don't know the Gayatri mantra or ritual or chanting. People practice the Gayatri thrice a day. Could you teach me all those disciplines?" Subodhananda said humbly, "Mother, I don't know all those things either. You see, I am a Koka. I have given you what I have received from the Master, what I have known from my own experience, and what has kept me in a blissful state. Please control your mind and practice japa and meditation." In 1925, Subodhananda again went to East Bengal and gave initiation to many people, even outcasts. His affection for them was no less than his affection for the highly cultured people of society. Once in Baliati ashram, he gave a lecture for 10 minutes on Sri Ramakrishna and the harmony of religions in front of 1,000 people. He was fond of talking about the Master and taught people from his own experience. Pray to God sincerely, then you will see him. Sincere prayer means, Tell the Lord your pain and your problems with tears in your eyes. Ask him for faith and devotion. Always remember that you are a companion of Sri Ramakrishna's companion. Make your mind strong. When someone asked him how to control lust, he replied, "The more you go towards the east, the further you are from the west." Don't pay any attention to lustful thoughts. Just move towards God. After some days, you will see that lust has unconsciously disappeared from your mind. Without the will of the Divine Mother, nothing will happen. Surrender to her. Out of mercy, she will remove your weakness, and you will be freed from lust. One day, he talked about the efficacy of japa. All power belongs to God. If one repeats the mantra, he will definitely get the result. For instance, when a farmer sows seeds, no matter whether they are placed in the ground straight or upside down, they shoot up all the same. He is everything. It is he who gives pain, and again, he who gives peace. One can overcome all obstacles by repeating the mantra. Subodhananda was a moderate eater. Once a devotee invited him to dine, and he asked about the menu. The devotee humbly said, "What could we offer you, Swami? We have arranged simple food, rice and lentils." Subodhananda went to the dining room and found that the devotee was actually serving various delicacies, but he ate only rice and lentils. In spite of the devotee's fervent request, he did not change his mind. The Swami said to him, "The Master taught us that one should hold to the truth and keep his word." His days at Bellarmont. In the early days of Bellar Monastery, Subodhananda worked in the vegetable garden with the Dvaitananda. Brahmananda collected various kinds of fruit trees and flower plants from different parts of India and planted them in the monastery garden. Subodhananda used to make grafts of those trees and plants so that they could be preserved and planted in other places. Sometimes he would go with Akhandananda to collect Nageshwar Champa, Michaelia champaka, which was a favorite flower of Sri Ramakrishna. He would also travel to raise funds for the Master's festival or to buy food for the monastery. He would nurse sick monks like a loving mother, cut vegetables, and manage the kitchen. One day, wrote a monk, the bell was rung, but nobody came to cut the vegetables. Koka Maharaj therefore cut 5 kinds of vegetables for the Master and asked the cook to offer these 5 items to him. He arranged to have rice, lentils, and boiled potatoes cooked for the monks. In the dining room, Swami Saradananda was pleased to have this simple menu. Then he asked, "Have you not offered any vegetables to the Master?" Koka Maharaj replied, "Yes, 5 kinds of vegetables were offered to the Master, but since the monks did not come to cut the vegetables, I arranged this simple menu for them." Immediately, Swami Saradananda said in front of all the monks, "Tomorrow I shall come to cut vegetables." This took care of the problem. Bellarmont was Subodhananda's favorite place. In his later years, he was reluctant to go anywhere else. Once, when someone suggested that he go to a health resort to recuperate from his illness, he said, "It is better to live on rice and spinach at Bellarmont than to have good food somewhere else." Every day, even when he was weak, Subodhananda would walk with a cane to Vivekananda's temple at the southeast corner of the monastery. He told the monks, "The Master said that Swamiji was Lord Shiva himself. To respect him is equivalent to worshiping Lord Shiva. His room was adjacent to Swamiji's bedroom. Every morning he used to go to Swamiji's room and bow down to his portrait. A monk recalled, Koka Maharaj was easy of access, and everybody felt very free with him. Many, on coming in contact with him, would feel his love so much that they would altogether forget the wide gulf of difference that marked their spiritual life and his. Yet he made no conscious attempt to hide the spiritual height to which he belonged. This great unostentatiousness was part and parcel of his very being. It was remarkable that he could mix so freely with one and all, with people of all ages and denominations, and make them his own. Many are the persons who, though not religiously minded, were drawn to him simply by his love, and were afterwards spiritually benefited. The young brahmacharins and monks of the order found in him a great sympathizer. He took the time to find out their difficulties and help them with advice and guidance. He would be their mouthpiece before the elders, meditate for them, and shield them when they inadvertently did something wrong. One day, a brahmacharin committed a great mistake and was asked to live outside the monastery and to get his food by begging. The brahmacharin failed to get anything by begging except a quantity of fried gram and returned to the gate of the monastery in the east of the compound. Koka Maharaj came to know of his plight, interceded on his behalf, and the young member was excused. The novices at the monastery had different kinds of work allotted to them. Often they did not know how to do it. Koka Maharaj on such occasions would come forward to help and guide them. The Swami was self-reliant and would not accept personal service from others, even if they were devotees or disciples. He always emphasized that one should help oneself as far as possible, and he himself rigidly adhered to this principle in his daily life. Even during times of illness, he was reluctant to accept any service from others and avoided it until it became absolutely impossible for him to manage without it. The Swami's needs were few, and he was satisfied with anything that came unsought. His personal belongings were almost nil. He would not accept anything except what was absolutely necessary for him. In food, and as in other things, he made no distinction and ate whatever came with equal relish. This great spirit of renunciation, always evidenced in his conduct, was the result of his complete dependence on God. In personal conduct as well as in conversation, he put much emphasis on self-surrender to God. He very often narrated to those who came to him for guidance the following story of Sridhara Swami, the great Vaishnava saint and a commentator on the Gita. Spurred by a spirit of renunciation, Sridhara Swami was thinking of giving up the world when his wife died, giving birth to a child. Sridhara felt worried about the baby and was seriously thinking about how to provide for the child before retiring from the world. One day, as he was sitting deeply absorbed in these thoughts, the egg of a lizard dropped from the ceiling in front of him. The egg broke as a result of the fall, and a young lizard came out. Just then, a small fly came and stood near the young lizard, which it caught and swallowed in a moment. At this, the thought flashed in the mind of Sridhara that there is a divine plan behind creation and that every creature is provided for beforehand by God. At once, all his anxiety for his own child vanished, and he immediately renounced the world. Of course, the baby was taken care of by his relatives. The Swami's spiritual life was as marked by his directness as much as his external life was marked by its simplicity. He had no philosophical problems of his own to solve. The ultimate reality was a fact to him. Whenever he would speak of God, one felt that here was a man to whom God was a greater reality than his own earthly relatives. He once said, "God can be realized much more tangibly than one feels the presence of a companion with whom one is walking." The form of his personal worship was singularly free from ritualistic observances. While entering the shrine, he was not obsessed by any awe or wonder, and he would act as if he were going to a very near relation. And while performing worship, he did not care to recite memorized texts. His relationship with God was just as free and natural as a human relationship. He realized the goodness of God, and so he was always optimistic in his views. For this reason, his words brought cheer and strength to weary and despondent souls. Intellectual snobs or philosophical pedants were bewildered to see the conviction with which he spoke on problems that they had been unable to resolve, their pride and arrogance notwithstanding. Subodhananda came from a well-to-do family. Once his relatives proposed sharing some of their family income with him. He declined to accept it. He told them, "I am an all-renouncing monk. I don't need any money. Please serve the poor and the mendicants with that money." The disciples of Ramakrishna demonstrated that there is no high or low in work. Work is worship. Subodhananda would teach the new monks how to prepare betel rolls and tobacco for offering to the master in the shrine. With the help of the young boys, he would uproot the thorny bushes from the courtyard. He was very methodical and punctual in his work. One day, the lunch bell was late. He went to the person in charge of the kitchen and learned that there was a special food offering for the master. The Swami said to him, "The master did not like to have his lunch after 12 noon. It is better to offer regular food to the master at the right time and then arrange for special food later." One day, Subodhananda performed the worship in the shrine while he was offering the fruits and sweets. The master appeared before him and pointed to the sliced cucumbers, said, "Please add a little salt to it." That's why we always have a little dish of salt on our tray of food that we offer, just in case we forgot. Subodhananda followed a daily routine. He got up at 3:30 a.m., he would smoke a hubble bubble, and then after washing, he would go to the shrine at 4 a.m. and bow down to the master. Then until 9 a.m., he would sit either on his bed or in a chair on the upper eastern veranda facing the Ganga. His calm appearance indicated that his mind was roaming in a mysterious realm. After tea, he would take his bath and then go to the shrine to bow down to the master. Until lunch, he would read some scriptures, especially the Puranas, sitting in an easy chair facing the Ganga. He loved the stories of the saints and divine incarnations of the Puranas. After lunch, he would take a little rest. In the afternoon, he would go for a walk. And in the evening, he would sit quietly until supper. He did not like monks to misuse time in chatting and gossiping. It was not his nature to give unwanted advice to anybody. If anyone asked spiritual questions, he would answer in a simple way. One day he said to a devotee, Do you expect anything when you present some gifts to your little brothers and sisters? One should love God like that. Say, Master, I offer my body and mind, my life, and everything to you. Give me shelter at your blessed feet. I don't want anything else. And I think we'll stop there because it's the end. Well, we can stop. We can finish the rest of his life and then get on to his teachings next week. Towards the end, Swami Subodhananda suffered from various ailments, including diabetes and blood dysentery. As a guru, he traveled to many places in Bengal, Bihar, and Uttar Pradesh to spread the message of Sri Ramakrishna. He wrote in a letter, "The cause of my disease is excessive work. I didn't get the time to even walk. From morning to 10 o'clock at night, I talked to people and gave them spiritual instructions." To recover his health, he went to the Ramakrishna ashram in Jamtara, Bihar. One day, when he was in critical condition, his attendant was fanning him. Suddenly he said to him, "Please move away from my bed. The Master, Holy Mother, and Swami Brahmananda have come. Can't you see them?" Later, Subodhananda said to his attendant that the Master had told him that he would be cured very soon. In 1927, Subodhananda went to Varanasi, and in 1929 he went to Bhubaneswar for rest. Wherever he went, he initiated devotees and inspired them with the message of Sri Ramakrishna. In the beginning of 1931, he contracted tuberculosis, and in spite of all medical help, his body began to deteriorate. He wrote a letter from Bellarmine. "Only the Master knows how long he will work through this body. I have no objection whether my body remains or dies." One day Shivananda asked the visiting doctor, "Have you seen that boy? How is he?" Neither the doctor nor the monks knew whom he was talking about. Then Shivananda said, "I mean that Koka who lives in the room adjacent to mine. He is truly a child. He does not know how to take care of himself. Please check him carefully and arrange for proper medicine and diet." Koka Maharaj was then 61. A few days before his passing, Subodhananda said to his attendant, "Mahapurush Maharaj was telling me, I pray to the Master that you get well and live many more years, but I don't want to live anymore. I had a dream in the early morning the other day. I saw that I had left my body. I saw Swamis Brahmananda, Premananda, and Yogananda, but I didn't see Swamiji. I asked them, 'Please tell me, where is Swamiji?' They replied, 'He is not here. He is far above, absorbed in God.' It does not matter that he is far away, I'm going to him. Saying so, I left to find him. Then my sleep broke. I experienced tremendous joy there. They are living in a blissful city. It's hard to come back from there. All pain and suffering are here in this world." In spite of all of his suffering, Subodhananda did not forget what the Master told him. "Think of me twice a day." The terminal tuberculosis devoured all his energy, and he could not even change his position without help. Still, in the morning and before he went to sleep at night, he would lift his head with much effort and look at the picture of the Master behind his head and salute him with folded hands. What a touching scene. He didn't want the Master's words to be in vain. His love and devotion for the Guru were outstanding. Subodhananda demonstrated in his life how to face inevitable death. When he was very sick, he could not read the scriptures, so his attendants would read to him from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, the Bhagavata, and the Upanishads. Sometimes, in an inspired mood, he would say, "The world with all its enjoyment seems like a heap of ashes. I don't feel any attraction for all these things." Again he would say, I don't depend on anybody in this world. If you say a few sweet words, people will come to you, and if not, they go away. Such is the nature of human beings. I only look to God. I said to the Master, enough of this world, please take me with you. Wait a few days more, said the Master. Let it be, let his will be done. If anyone asked about his pain, he replied, when I think of the Master, I forget all physical suffering. Subodhananda was fully conscious and cheerful until the last. One morning, when Swami Shuddhananda came to pay his respects to him, the Swami asked, Sudhir, how are you? His body was so weak that it was difficult for him to keep his eyes open. When his attendants asked, Swami, do you remember the Master, Holy Mother, and Swamiji? Subodhananda answered, yet replied, yes, I remember them all distinctly. An hour before his death, he looked intently at the picture of Sri Ramakrishna, and then suddenly his face glowed with a smile. A monk asked, Swami, can you see the Master? He nodded his head. Then his eyeballs turned from left to right, as if he were searching for someone. Again he smiled, and then passed away at 3:05 p.m. on Friday, 2nd December 1932. The monks chanted Glory to Sri Ramakrishna in Vedic mantras, decorated his body with flowers and sandal paste, carried it to the burning ghat at Bellarmont near the Ganga, where it was cremated with sandalwood, ghee, and perfume. The night before he passed away, Swami Subodhananda said, my last prayer is that the blessing of the Master be always on the order. Surrendering himself completely to Sri Ramakrishna, he conquered death. On his deathbed, he would often say, it does not matter if this body dies. I shall go to the Master joyfully. And he did. Swami Subodhananda remained the same joyful little boy throughout his life, the ideal model of a divine child of Sri Ramakrishna. So, any comments or questions? Next, do we have one next week? Yeah, next week we will start on the teachings, his teachings. Now, Saturday, we will be having a retreat with Pravrajika Vedaprana from Northern California, San Francisco. At 10 a.m. it will start, and the topic will be outside world, the outside world of our inner eye. I being I, not I. 12 o'clock there'll be puja. 1 o'clock we'll have lunch together. Bring your own, but we'll probably supplement it. The retreat will continue at 2 p.m. and it will be the inside world of our inner eye. We won't have a gospel reading that day. Sunday, December 4th at 11 a.m., Pravrajika Vedaprana will give a talk, Holy Mother, the Giver of Essence. And Wednesday the 7th, we'll have Swami Subodhananda again reading at 5. Saturday, December 10th, we'll have the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna at 5. Any other questions or comments? Okay, well, it's good to see you all. Shobha, it's good to see you, and I see Lavanya's here. I'm going to say hi to everyone on Zoom, and we'll end with a chant. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.